The S&P 500 is under pressure, gold has a meltdown, the dollar index is bouncing back, and the UAE to pledge $1.4 trillion US investment after the Trump meeting. There is no shortage of volatility in this market, and today is a triple witching day. I'm going to tell you about that more as we get started. Let's jump in. So yesterday we talked about how the S&P 500 was at a critical level, and we did in fact see sellers at least trying to step up here. You can see we've given back some gains the last few days, and overall this week has been mostly sideways trading. I'm going to stick to my guns here and say that I am still bullish on this market, but it was an impressive little pushback from the sellers here, and I really think before we can make any sort of solid conclusions to be bullish in terms of a positioning standpoint, I'm still waiting for some signs of a breakout here. Right? So I don't have any short-term trades to the long side on the S&P, the NASDAQ, etc. But if we do get a break and close above this 5720 level, I would take that as a shift in momentum and would be looking to buy any sort of dips on the 4-hour chart from there. That being said, sellers are still seemingly in control, at least for now, and we have to give it to them. We've been in a bearish trend here recently, and with a recent pullback in equities, the question now resides, it's kind of in the bears' court to see if they can actually take this thing back down towards those lows and break through them. I made a big call here recently on my channel, and we'll see if that ends up being right, but it is that I think that we may have already found the bottom to this recent pullback. It's pretty aggressive and looking more aggressive as the price pulls back here a little bit, but I do think that we still could round out and find some buying pressure here. Now, like I said, I'm not betting on that. I'm not long, but unless we break this structure, then I'm going to look to start getting long there. But let me be the first to say, when it comes to opinions about markets, I believe strongly that you need to have strong opinions, but hold on to them loosely. So I think that we may have bottomed on this market, but if we do see a failure at these levels and we start breaking through the lows, it would be silly of me to try to argue with the market any further. So if this thing does tank through the lows, then I would actually love that from a long-term perspective, because it would give me an opportunity to buy more stocks at cheaper prices. But from a trading perspective, I would call that a bear market or a bearish kind of trend continuation. So we'll see if sellers can take it through those lows. That being said, like I said, the signal for me that I continue to talk about and look for on this chart would be a break above and looking for any kind of pullbacks to trade this thing on the long side. Same thing for the NASDAQ, down about 0.8% at the time of recording, and the Dow Jones just about the same, all finding resistance, and right now, sellers seemingly holding their own. The Russell also down about 1%, still taking a big hit, even harder than the rest, as small companies are a little bit more sensitive to interest rates coming down. And while we did get from the Fed 2 interest rate cuts projected this year, that plus the uncertainty of tariffs, these smaller, more sensitive companies don't love the outlook, at least for now. Taking a look at the VIX, we had a little bit of a spike back here this morning, but fading the gap. And the dollar index seems to be trying to find support here around 103.5. And I actually did get out of my gold trade here today. I ended up taking profits on this move. I went long over on this candle, and throughout the last few weeks, you may have seen me in my videos trailing my stop loss. Initially, my stop was here, and then I trailed my stop here, then here, and then here. And today, that did end up getting triggered for a closing P&L of about $25,000. But I do have to give some context with this trade. Although this was a $25,000 profit, and that sounds remarkable, I do also have trades that do not work out, where I lose $5,000, or I lose $4,000, or I lose $6,000, and every once in a while I gain $25,000 on a really nice gold trade. So I think it's important that when I talk about a trade or my P&L on it, that I back it up and also kind of show not only the performance, I'll show you my broker in a second, but also talk about the fact that there are also losers that have to come with that, right? So I take a trade and sometimes it doesn't work, and I have to pay the toll, if you will, in order to finally catch those really nice movers that occasionally show up. So here's the gold trade. Like I said, closed out for just shy of about $25,000 on the day. You can see I'm also red because I have been accumulating some shares in long-term stocks that I like. So I've got some stock positions that are not going as well today, but overall it's been a really good year so far, and the gold trade really helped to kind of cushion the losses that the stock market occurred, or the stock market incurred here recently. A lot of my positioning was long gold, and so we closed out for a final P&L of about 25 grand. And shortly after I got stopped out or trailed out for a profit on gold, I actually joined into a silver trade that I've been eyeing up. We finally got the pullback here in metals today, and silver has been moving a little bit independently from gold. They typically move together, but they move differently, and they don't move exactly together. So silver actually pulled back nicely to a key area I've been watching. This This big breakout here looks really good for a possible break and retest. We'll see if I'm right about that, but it is a small risk to the account. If this does not work out, I will close out. But like I said, when I have those occasional winners, there are also times where it just doesn't work out. Like today, I actually got stopped out on a Bitcoin idea. I went long Bitcoin yesterday on the 4-hour chart, basically looking for this break and retest to hold. It did not, and I got triggered out of my stop just before it reversed. So there's some transparency for you. Nothing that you do in the markets is going to be foolproof. Sometimes it's going to mess up. Sometimes long story short, no matter what your trading strategy is, sometimes you just have a losing trade, and that's okay. A losing trade doesn't necessarily mean a bad trade. A bad trade is when you break your rules, you over leverage, you do something stupid. That's a bad trade. A good trade is when you stick to the rules, do something that you know works long term, and regardless of the P&L, that's a good trade. So like I said, I'm long silver, and I did take this trade inside of our VIP room. Every trade that I take gets shared in the form of a signal inside of our VIP Discord server. If you're not a member and you would like to be, you can sign up using the link in the description down below. There's a promo code available there, and if you have any questions, use the first link in the description to chat directly to a member of my support team who can give you some more information about memberships. So I sent out an alert to members here this morning that I went long silver with a stop below structure. Really like the technical setup here, and we do have Edge Finder confirmation. You can see that silver is getting a bullish +8 score in the Edge Finder. The commitment of traders data shows institutional positioning is very long on silver, and a lot of our economic data has come in a little bit soft here recently, supporting the story for a weaker US dollar, hence a bullish report for gold and silver. That is all automatically being calculated by the Edge Finder. And so if this trade doesn't work out, I will stop out below market structure here. Just to follow up on that concept of holding strong opinions loosely, it does equate in my actions in trading too. When I take a position, it is a strong opinion, meaning I think this is going to go up, but held on loosely. I don't have a huge size, and if it goes against me, then I'll just say I was wrong. And that mindset is critical to profitable trading. Many traders don't follow at all. What they actually do is hold strong opinions tightly. What I mean by that is they think gold or silver is going to go up, let's just say as an example, and they don't hold on to it loosely, meaning their position size is huge, and when it goes against them, they hold on to it for dear life until it blows their account. Rewire your thinking. That's what I would encourage you to consider doing, because what that will do for you is you'll start to say, okay, if I'm going to hold on to a strong opinion loosely, that means, okay, do your research, do your homework, map out a trade, but if you're wrong, admit it and take a small loss because your size was small, not huge and devastating for your trading account. If someone had told me that and I had actually listened to it 10 years ago, I would have saved myself a lot of pain and heartache and tears. I'm still watching the euro for pullbacks as well as the pound. I am very interested in these, and if I do take those trades, like I said, they will be notified in our Discord server. Today's the last day to join the Edge Finder giveaway, and all you have to do to join is join our Telegram channel and enter your name and email for a chance to win. The link to this will also be in the description. We'll be announcing the winner for the Edge Finder free giveaway by the end of the day. Today's video is sponsored by DNA Funded. If you're somebody who feels like you are ready to take on the challenge of becoming a funded trader, and I do encourage people to wait until they truly have trading results to back it, check out today's video sponsor, DNA Funded. DNA Funded offers profit share up to 90%. They have a 1 and 2 phase challenge, and you can trade pretty much anything you want on this prop firm. Check them out using the link in the description down below, and don't forget to use our promo code for a bigger discount at checkout. On today's Market Insights podcast with Johnny Hart, we spoke a little bit more about the Powell kind of delivery that we saw on Wednesday and whether or not it was at all politically charged. It was a really interesting conversation, and I've put together a clip here for you to watch. If you want to watch the full podcast, it will be available linked in the description and the pinned comment of this video down below. Check this out.
Yeah, and it was interesting how dovish those comments from Jay Powell were, Nick. He seems to be talking up the economy, and perhaps it's because he's under quite a lot of political pressure from President Trump to be a bit more boosterish, to coin a phrase invented, I think, by former Prime Minister Boris Johnson here. Boosterism, they used to call it, and talking up the economy rather than down. Going back to what you were saying before about the tariffs, though, I mean, with Canada, for instance, your closest and possibly most important economic ally, we've not got long to go. We're only a couple of weeks away from whether or not those massive tariffs are going to go ahead.
Yeah, and then just to double back on your comments about the political stuff, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, Powell is a human being. He has a lot of forces on both sides that are putting pressure on him. I really don't envy his job, Johnny. I mean, that's a challenging spot to be in. But again, there's people that are, no matter what he does, there will always be somebody who is upset with him, pushing back on his decision making. That's just politics 101. And maybe your point is well made in regards to maybe these feeling the pressure of the president and has to kind of find a middle ground to still stick to his dual mandate, but also at least speak optimistically to a degree about the stuff that's happening, right? I sensed a little bit of that as well. Just the idea that, look, maybe he sees risks to tariffs, but it seemed like he just on a slight basis was a little bit, well, clearly the market's reaction was pretty positive. So clearly he sounded a little bit soft on tariff concerns, and you could take that as political, and what you could also do is hope that he genuinely, is doing what he's been pretty consistent the last few years, right? He's been pretty transparent about what his true thoughts are, I would say. So we'll have to see, but definitely, of course, a challenging spot for him to be in. Dollar CAD, just to your point about the upcoming deadline, has been really choppy since really December, back and forth. We've had big spikes in both directions. And we'll see where that goes. I mean, April 2nd is right around the corner, to your point. We'll see if those tariffs do, in fact, go through. I do actually kind of just have it's an opinion, and listeners, feel free to come back and point out if I'm wrong about this, but this is my opinion. I do think that there is some potential conflict resolution in the next few weeks rather than content or escalation. That's a kind of a strong opinion on my own, socials. I've gotten a little bit of pushback for that thought, but that is my opinion. As always, that's what makes a market, right? People have different ideas and different theories, but I do think that there's a possible conflict resolution coming. And that the understanding that, look, we're neighbors, let's make it work. If you want to move the fence a little bit more into my yard, fine. We'll see if that happens. I'm not saying that I think this is going to crash lower, but sellers definitely at least are trying to show up here. As a bull, what I'd really like to see would be for that area to break. But I want to reiterate and say this again. I have no current positions on the S&P 500. When I take one, I probably won't shut up about it. So I don't have a position right now. I have long-term buys that I'm picking up, and I have been picking up. I've paused after this bounce. But if we take out fresh lows, from a long-term perspective, with stocks long-term, I like to be just straight up counter trend. Like, I like to be, buying into exceptional weakness. With momentum trading, I'm the opposite, right? Momentum trading, I'm looking for, give me those kind of higher lows, higher highs. I'm riding it constructively with a stop loss. But longer term, like holding positions as a position trade, I'm pretty opposite, right? I'm looking for, give me another flush as fear kind of crescendos. That's when I want to be looking to just step in and buy. But again, not all at once and not too aggressively. That's the other thing. There's so many nuances to trading that you learn about. Like, one thing from a portfolio approach that I've found to be really important is, if you're going to try and quote unquote catch a falling knife in terms of like longer term positioning, like I'm saying, like if you want to stick gold in your account for the next couple years, right? Or you want to buy Apple stock, the concept of dollar cost averaging is beautiful. Because let's say that you started dollar cost averaging here as opposed to going all in right here. Like if you had just parked a ton of money sitting right there, then like you'd be sitting here feeling like, dang, I could have gotten way better prices. I could have gotten all stocks that you wanted. You could have gotten another 5% off, right? Now, obviously that's hindsight because it also could have bounced. But my thought process is like, okay, if I'm going to buy something for the long term, I typically like to do it in pieces, like small bits and pieces, add stocks to when I get better prices. And that's what I've been doing. I've been pretty much buying a little bit, just nibbling at stuff, if you will, on the stock side. I've been talking a little bit about some of the stocks that I've been buying. So things like PayPal, Amazon, Salesforce, Intuitive Surgical, American Express, Airbnb, Tesla, Fortinet. I'm watching Meta. If you give me another flush, I'd love to get a chance to buy Meta stock. at a bigger discount here. You've got Nvidia, you've got Uber. I'm interested in Palantir, but not quite at these levels. If you gave me Palantir at like $50 a share or something, some really serious pullback, then yeah. I hope that video was helpful to you, and I also wanted to make sure to share our Telegram channel with you. Every day we are posting up chart markups and analysis and in-depth breakdowns of what's going on both fundamentally and technically in the markets. We also drop bonus videos in the Telegram channel, so don't miss out. Come join our Telegram channel. The link is in the description down below. Have a great rest of your day.